love flowers. Flowers for me are one of those things that when I look at them, they evoke emotions of happiness. They make me feel calm. And I just love looking at them. I also love having them in my house. And that is why I keep going back over and over again, spending on flowers. And I do not mind sometimes how much I pay, so long as I have flowers in my house, because there is something that they give me. There's a good feeling that they evoke within me, and that feeling, it evokes a feeling of happiness. And I like having that feeling. I like that when I'm in my house and I look at flowers, especially there as you see them there, when I look at flowers, that I get that sense of calmness, that I get that sense of happiness, and it creates that atmosphere in this house. So that is why I keep spending on them. Now, even though this video is not about flowers, has nothing to do with flowers, I wanted to highlight that because there are certain things in life that we have or that we want because they evoke certain emotions, whether positive or negative, but they do have a tendency of evoking an emotions. And most of the time, these are things that are at our possession, things that we want to have, things that we have. They tend to then evoke a certain emotion, and we want more of that when we feel that the emotions are good. And also, even when the emotions are not good, we tend to want it if it's something that is useful. And one of those things that is very useful is money. On today's video, we're going to be talking about what emotions are evoked within you when you look at money. And the reason why I'm doing this video is because I understand that with the emotions that come by being evoked with money comes the actions that follow after. And so it's very important to understand that when you look at money, what emotions are evoked within you, so that you can start being conscious of those emotions, thus not allowing them to then drive your actions when it comes to how you spend your money. So let's just go first on the basics. When we talk of money, we are talking about a tool of trade. It's a commodity. It's something that we use as an exchange to get what we want. We use money to buy food. We use money to move around. We use money to pour petrol so that we can be able to move around. We use money to buy the things that we need. So majority of the things that we have in our lives, we have them because we've been able to accumulate them because of money. And so money is a tool of trade. It is what we need in order for us to survive, in order for us to live, in order for us to have a decent life. It is money. We give money in order to get what we need, or we give a good in order to get money. So it is a tool of trade. It is a commodity. However, it is also one of those commodities that when we look at them or when we have them, they evoke certain emotions. Even when we do not have them, even if you don't have money, it still evokes a certain emotion within you. And that is just the way that it is designed. And also because of what it can do for us, it tends to evoke strong emotions within us when it comes to when we look at it, when we are touching it, or when we have to spend it. And so I want you to be conscious of what are the emotions that are evoked within you when you look at money. It will help you to understand the underlying reasons towards the actions that you've been taking towards money. So to contextualize this video, I'll give you an example. When I had lots of debt, I had credit card, I had personal loan, I wasn't earning as much, and having debt made it worse because it made the money that I was earning to feel like it was also just not enough. I couldn't stretch it in a whole month. It was just not enough for me to stretch it for the entire month. That on its own made me feel anxious. It made me feel stressed. Whenever I would think of money, whenever I would think of my debts that I had, it will stress me out. I would worry about them. I'll actually have sleepless nights sometimes thinking about how can I deal with these things. It also made me very anxious because I felt like I did not have enough. And because I didn't have enough, I was always worried about money running out. And when it did run out, it just added on the pile of stress. And so I find myself in a situation whereby I was always worried about money, and money didn't evoke positive emotions within me. So my question to you is, when you think of money right now, what are the emotions that are evoked in you? It can be that when you think of money, you are stressed, you are anxious, you are worried, you feel shame, you feel a sense of shame. Or it might be on the other side, whereby it is more so of a positive thing, whereby when you think of money, you feel good, you feel excited, and also you feel happy when you think of money. So it can be both. Not only that when we think of money, everyone is always negative. There are also people that are also on the side of the positive side, whereby now when they think of money, positive emotions are evoked within them. So because I was stressed about money, because I always felt anxious, I felt like I didn't have enough, I felt like I couldn't meet my month-to-month obligations freely without feeling a pinch, that really took a toll on me. However, what it did, because I did not allow myself to then wallow in that, instead I looked at what can I do. What can I do in order for me to deal with this debt? Now, because I then took actions towards dealing with the issues that I had when it comes to money, I got to a point whereby now when I look at money, I feel good. When I look at money, I feel excited. When I look at money, or when I think about money, I am happy, because I know that I have dealt with a lot of things that allowed money to trigger negative emotions within me. However, there are people that even when the money is triggering negative emotions within them, they still do not want to own up to that in order for them to start making positive actions to lead them to a point whereby when they think or look or spend money, they feel good. And those are people that tend to bury their head in the sand and pretend like the problems do not exist. But if you do not address your problems, you're constantly going to find yourself in a situation whereby you feel like you do not have enough. You're constantly drowning in debt because you are not dealing with your problems head on. Instead, you are avoiding them. And most of the time, people that are stressed with money and are not active about it, then you find that they actually tend to continue the cycle of getting themselves into debt. They get into one debt in order to deal with another debt, and then deal with and then take money from somewhere else in order to deal with another debt. So and those are people that like to bury their heads in the sand and not deal with the problem head on. But if you want to be able to not to because here's the thing, money will always evoke emotions, whether positive or negative. But you want to get to a stage whereby when you look at money, when you spend money, money does not evoke negative feelings in you. Instead, it evokes positive feelings. But how do you do that? It starts with you understanding what are the emotions that are evoked whenever you think about money. How do you feel when you think about money? Do you get stressed? Do you get anxious when you think about money? Now that you understand that you get stressed and you get anxious when you think about money, it is then important that you understand what follows after that. What actions do you take after that? So there are people that whenever they are going through issues in life, because we all have issues, you find that they tend to do the thing called emotional shopping. So they will go buy things and accumulate things most of the time when they are not feeling okay, or when mentally they are not okay. And that they use that as a coping mechanism to deal with their problems, or basically not even to deal, they use it as a coping mechanism to avoid their problems at that particular point in time. Now, you are using money that tends to evoke emotions to deal with your emotions. But this is okay when someone does this and they're doing it using their money. And when I say you're using your money, you're using money that you are not going to have to pay back after. You are using money that is allocated for that, or even if it's not allocated to that, it's not allocated to anything, but it's also not a debt. It becomes a problem when you then go and try to deal with an emotion, or to try, not deal, why do I keep saying deal? If you are going to use debt in order for you to avoid your problems, in order for you to avoid dealing with your problems head on, it becomes a problem, because what happens is after you have avoided that emotion, after you've avoided dealing with your personal issues, what will happen is the debt will still be there. The debt will still be there. The satisfaction of you going to buy that thing might last maybe for a day or two, but then it will subside, and then the debt will be added on top. So now you have added your personal problem, take your personal problems, add debt on top, which then becomes just something that you do not want in your life. And so it's very important to understand what emotions are triggered when you look at money, so that you can start making wise decisions when it comes to how you handle money. And also understanding the type of personality that you are. Are you a person that when you are not okay, you get triggered to go and spend? And if you do spend, what money are you spending? Whose money are you spending? Are you spending your own money, or are you spending money that you are going to have to pay back after? So these are very important things. Now, the reason why I am making this video is not just to highlight that money is a trigger of emotions and that there are negative and positive emotions. But the reason why I'm making this video is because I want you to understand that as much as money is a trigger of emotions within us, it's very important that we are conscious of that. So that once we know that, okay, when I look at money, I get stressed, I get anxious, I feel a sense of shame, that you go deep down and ask yourself, why? Why do I feel stressed when I look at money? Why do I feel anxious when I have to spend money? Why do I feel anxious whenever it's going to be payday? Why do I feel a sense of shame when I look at my financials? It's very important that you go deep down so that you can deal with that problem, so that you can deal with it head on. And that way you can eventually move to a state whereby when you look at money, you get positive feelings. Feelings whereby you are excited about payday. You are happy to have money. You are happy to spend money because you understand that money is just a commodity, something that we use to get what we need. And so ask yourself the important questions. How do you feel when you think about money? If right now you are struggling with debt and you are struggling with debt, and whenever you think of payday, you get anxious and stressed because now you're thinking all of this money is going to go towards your debt, it's very important that you start creating plan as to how can you then deal with this debt, because it can't be that when you are going to live your entire life worried and stressed constantly about money, constantly about running out of money. It can't be. Yabo? So the whole point of this exercise, or the whole point of this video, is understanding where you are currently, and then how do you work towards where you desire to be. This is becoming a theme in my videos, and that is because I really believe that if you can understand where you are, it becomes much more flexible, much more easier for you to get to where you desire to be. So take time. Take time. I know that this might be a practice that maybe you may not enjoy, but it's very important that you take time. I'm advising you to take time, even though I'm not a financial advisor. Take time, sit down with yourself, sit down with yourself, sit down with your journal, and think about this. Look, introspect. How do you feel? First thing that you ask yourself is, how do I feel when I think about money? How do I feel when I think of payday? How do I feel when I feel like money is running out? What emotions are triggered? And then from there, you need to unpack it as to what can I do in order to deal with the problem. The problem is not the emotions. Most of the time, our emotions are coupled with our thoughts and the situations that we are faced with. Then it triggers emotions. So the emotions are not something that you can deal with. You cannot just say, okay, I don't want to be stressed. Let me deal with stress. Let me deal with being anxious. You know, it's not something that you can go for to, especially when we're talking about emotional triggers as a result of money. It's not something that you can go to a therapist for and say, well, I feel sad because I don't have enough money. There's nothing that a therapist is going to help you with. This is something that you need to face head on. And it's when now you need to start separating the emotion from the problem. What is the problem? The problem is that you have too much debt. The problem is that the debt is eating away on your salary and thus making the money so small that it cannot stretch towards the whole month. And so you feel like money is always running out. That is the problem. Okay, now that you know what is the problem, what is the solution? The possible solution here is start tackling your debt. Start dealing with your debts one by one, without getting into a new debt. Because when you get into a new debt, you are then setting yourself backwards. So it's very important that you understand what is the problem, then come up with possible solutions. If you're a person that you don't have debts, but for some reason you cannot control your shopping, and as a result of you not controlling your shopping, you find yourself using money that is allocated for something else. You find yourself using money that is allocated maybe for shopping, for rent, and then you are using it for shopping. Or maybe you are using it on the weekends, because we know that there are people who are heavy drinkers, and so in the weekends you find that whenever they get paid, they drink all of the money, or they drink most of the money. They end up even drinking rent money. That is a reality for many people. So that is your problem. The problem is not that you are stressed. The problem is not that you are anxious. But the problem is you cannot stick to your budget. So then how do you then deal with that? You then start sitting down and creating a budget. If it's that hard for you to manage your spending, you then look at things such as cash budgeting. It's a simple thing that most people will avoid because they're saying it's cash. But if you really have a problem with spending, controlling your spending, cash is the key for you. Not having cards that you can easily access anywhere where you go, where you can easily access it in the shops, where you can easily transfer money to another account. You want to go the route of cash. And for me, that was the major solution in terms of my finances and not feeling like I have enough or money running out before payday. I went cash. I went towards cash. And that allowed me to control my spending and to understand my spending. And so you want to separate the emotion from the problem so that you can start dealing with the problem. The solutions are always there, but also I must say this: the solutions are not going to happen overnight. What you implement now, it's not going to be overnight. It's going to take you to be consistent. That is what most people struggle with. People struggle with being consistent. Consistency is the biggest challenge for most people. You will start something, just because you do not see the quick results that you desire, you then forgo it, you stop, and you go start something else. It's very important that you become consistent. Give yourself a year of dealing with a thing, dealing with a problem, or dealing with whatever financial situation that you're in. Give yourself a year of being consistent. You'll find that after a year, it becomes a normal thing. Give yourself a year to make a budget and try to stick to it by all means. Give yourself a year to spend within your means, to spend what you get paid and not go over that. Give yourself a year to actually find a way to control your spending. So maybe you may say, okay, I'm going to park using my card for an entire year until I get my spending in control, until I understand my spending behaviors. Give yourself a year. Do not just implement something 1 minute you are done because you feel like it's not giving you the solutions that you need. When it comes to many of our financial problems, it's not something that you can just flick your finger and then it goes away. It's not something like that. You need to consistently work on it. You need to make sacrifices in order for you to get to where you want to be. The whole point of this video is understanding that money can trigger emotions, either positive or negative. That it's important to understand that if it is a trigger of negative emotions, that you get to the root problems, because the emotions themselves are not the problem. The problem is what is the reason for the triggering of those emotions, and then dealing with the problem. Because then once you've dealt with the problems, you're going to sit down and create solutions and start being conscious as you move forward that, okay, I am this type of a person. I know that I'm a person that cannot handle using a credit card. And that is because I understand my personality. And so what I do is I am conscious when it comes to things like credit cards. I'm conscious enough to say no whenever I'm offered a credit card, even if I see that it's a good deal. I'm conscious of that because I understand my personality. I understand where I lack. And so I make sure that I strengthen where I am strong at in order to overcome where I lack at. And you cannot do this if you avoid your problems. You cannot do this if you're a person that buries your head in the sand and pretend that you do not have these issues, or these problems do not exist, because when you are the person that takes it day by day and you're going with the flow. So long as it's sapila, that is what you live by. Well, you are not gonna get anywhere when it comes to improving your finances and improving your life. It's going to need you to take action. It's going to need you to take actions, take steps towards the right direction in order for you to make a change, in order for you that when you look at money, you feel good. And also, when you understand the problem, when you understand the core of your problem and you really see that it is really heavy on you, that is where you ask for help. That is where you seek help. But you will not know what help you must seek if you do not sit down and look at your problem and understand what is your problem. So it's very important that you sit down and you plan these things, you evaluate these things so that you can come up with a solution. So what I'm saying here is, do not avoid money. Do not avoid the emotions that are triggered by money. Actually acknowledge them, and so that you can understand them. The moment you understand them, then you will be able to separate them and try to figure out what is the root cause. Once you know the root cause, then you can be able to come up with solutions. With that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and you found it helpful. And I'll see you on the next one. Please take care and stay safe. Bye.